Hello viewers, today we're going to be cleaning, servicing, and repairing this Eastern Electric branded box fan. Here's the information tag. This is a Model 555. Very creative model number. It's a 2-speed, and this is Russ's fan. And he claims to not be a fan collector, but he keeps getting all these fans and then it's like, oh, they don't work, can you fix it? Which is typical fan collector behavior. So I really think he is turning into a fan collector even though he doesn't want to admit it. Regardless, we're going to fix it and give it back to him. He's going to take it and enjoy it like a fan collector would. This is completely locked up. Can we see the information tag on here? I would have to... I'll just show it once we open it up. This was one of, I think, 3 box fans that he got, along with that Panasonic osculating fan that we repaired a couple months back. And all 4 of those fans were busted. I believe they came from the same place, and they were all busted. I fixed one of the box fans, or no, actually, no, Kevin fixed one of them. And now we have this one here. I think it's just a basic locked up motor. Well, it's actually not locked up. Let's put it on the meter and make sure that the motor that sounds like it's full of rocks is taking reasonable amounts of power. It's taking 2.5 the amps, that's what I would expect. 198 the watts, which is also around what I would expect. The power factor of .66. And low we're down to 1.2 the amps, 96 the watts, power factor 65. So that's all pretty reasonable. That sounds awful. Now, this fan has already had a second life in some sense because somebody replaced the plug that is now stuck in my meter. This is not the original plug, this is an aftermarket replacement plug, which we're going to call a replug now. It's a U-Well listed plug. And funny enough, I kind of always associate these particular plugs with box fans because my grandfather had installed a plug like this onto his General Electric box fan. Actually, it is right here so we can take a look at it. When the original cord frayed, he replaced it with this. And it was like that for as long as I can remember, so when I see a plug like that on a box fan, it almost looks normal to me, even though I know it's not. So this needs some help. It's not running very well. I don't know what's up with the way the cord comes out. I feel like it should be passing through somewhere and not just like coming out the bottom. That doesn't seem right. I don't know what's up with that. I don't see any holes where it would have originally come out. I mean, I know these are cheap fans, but that's kind of ridiculous. I don't even feel like a slot in the guard or anything. Well, we'll clean this up. We're not going to do a repaint and everything. I'm not really into cosmetic work. Meanwhile, Russ is pretty good at cosmetic work, so if he wants to repaint this and so forth, that'll be his portion of the project, but I'll take care of the mechanics. We'll run the guards to the dishwasher, get those looking pretty good. They are kind of like warped and all messed up. I don't know what's up with that. These are the default size. bolts. It's missing a few, but they're nothing out of the ordinary to replace. something like 1/4 inch gutter screws would work just fine. These are probably 1/2 inch. I don't know why they're so long. It's going through a 1/16 inch thick piece of sheet metal or something. I used to have a little cast iron frying pan that I would put the screws in. That's got to be at the old location still. I'm going to have to go over there and see if I can find that. Some molding defects in the guard here. These are all parts of the mold that should have been trimmed off, but were not, because it's a cheap fan. I don't know, this is like, looks like it might have been exposed to some kind of heat or something at some point. Very strange. Those are the guards, and we'll take a closer look at the inside now. Here's what it looks on the inside. Actually, it's not bad. It's very, very fine surface rust. If you took a wire brush wheel to this for a few minutes and put a new coat of paint, this would pretty much look like new. It's definitely got some hours on it. The motor's pretty well caked with dust. We'll get that all cleaned out. And it's one of those weird 7-wing blades. And the aerodynamics, I don't quite understand. Really almost looks like it would move more air if it was spinning this way. But it's not. It's supposed to spin this way. And you can see that it's not correct aerodynamically because there's dust accumulating on the back, which means there's a current through the back and there shouldn't be. So bad aerodynamics on these blades. I imagine these blades were very cheaply designed just to be kind of a knockoff of the Hunter. I think the model was EXL, the Hunter EXL box fans. And it's not a very good copy. It's a really strange looking fan. Very noisy too. I'm not particularly fond of these because you don't have a good low speed and they're just very loud. But you know, out in a garage or in a patio or something, it's fine. And Russ is always blasting music, so I'm sure he won't hear the thing over it anyways. I would be too if you could play, you have to play without copyright problems, but we got copyright problems. Yeah, it really looks like the scoop of the blade, would be better pushing air backwards. I have one of these. Maybe someday we'll take the motor apart and run it in reverse and see if it works any better. I lubricated the tripods a couple days ago, and it has made such a massive difference on the way the tripods adjust. I wish I had done that years ago. So this one has a clamp on the front here, and you can see how crudely made this is. This isn't even cut straight. Oh man. People don't realize that these cheap economy stuff, cheap products like this, poor build quality and everything, this goes way back. The only difference is that this degree of cheapness is very different than what we have today. Well, that'll make a good short. Fortunately, I didn't break the lights. I've had that happen before. There's the clip. Never a dull moment around here. So this is probably going to be stuck on the shafter, so I better get Ed over here with his puller to break the blade. I mean, I'll take care of it myself. We'll just gently push it off with the appropriate amount of force. And there we go. That actually was nowhere near as bad as I was expecting. So here's the blade. It's been cleaned a couple times, which is interesting. You can often tell by looking inside here, because people will clean the blades, but they often will not clean the inside here, and they often will not clean inside the motor. So two places you can look to get a better idea of how many hours are actually on the fan. Now we can get a better look at the motor. It is, oh no, we can't. I think it just says Eastern Electric Manufacturing Company or Corporation. Unfortunately, the wording is really worn off there. I think it just says Eastern Electric Manufacturing Corporation, and then it says type Y4 2.0 the amps, which is not accurate. And interestingly enough, this is actually thermally protected. And it says black is high, so, and it says, looks like it says white is common, so then whatever the third wire is going to be low. A fairly standard shaded pole motor. Nothing too special about it, but yeah, we'll get it cleaned up and serviced as if it is something special, because that's how we treat the equipment in this shop. I don't take shortcuts, because shortcuts result in the failure. So we're going to remove this little piece here, which comes off by turning these tabs. It just kind of holds the wires in place. And now we'll take the switch off. I think there's probably something on the top here that holds it in. Yep, there's a singular screw. Very creaky fan. Okay, there's our screw for the switch. And there goes the switch. So now we just need to detach the motor. And this is all just to make it easier to service. The motor detaches with two very cheap nuts. And they are too large for that driver, so we'll have to get out the adjustable wrench and adjust it accordingly. It is not adjusted correctly. Now it's adjusted correctly. These are very, very cheap nuts. But in their defense, unlike the ones for the Altura ceiling fan, these are not busted. They are still in correct condition. Okay. That's good. Lastly, let's detach the switch here so we can fully separate this motor. So I've become pretty good at detaching the wires from these switches. I'll take a very thin tipped pliers here and stick that in there to separate the clip that holds the wire in. And then this gets twist on wire connected back to there. This doesn't matter, it's not a polarized plug, but we'll put it back the way it was. Alright. So now we can service the motor. Get some dust off the table. Before we go any further, I think we're going to start by going over to the cleaning area and getting these guards started in the dishwasher. I don't like to put them on top of each other because that tends to produce poor cleaning results. Let's see, can I fit them both in at the same time? Not quite. Well, that might work. I mean, good spray on the top and the bottom. Let's make sure that this can still... Oh, this is not gonna fit. We're gonna have to do one at a time, I guess. That's fine. You have to kind of put it up at an angle like this to get it to shut. It's not ideal. We're going to use the cheap store brand dishwashing soap. Oh, it's not clogged anymore. That's nice. And then we'll use some TSP, which I think is probably what's doing most of the work. This is very powerful cleaner. Whoa, rats. That was more than I would have preferred. I have to move some of that back over. I'll move some of it over to the you like this little scooper thing I got here? This is working pretty good. Alright. So now we gotta play some games and getting this to close. Because this is an older fan, the guard is a little bit bigger and it just doesn't quite fit in here. It's like an inch. It's about an inch too large. I wish I could figure out how to get the top rack removed from this machine, because that would alleviate some of these problems. Let's see if taking this out makes anything any easier. There's all TSP in this. Really wish this top rack was not in here right about now. Well, that's no good. What the heck? Oh man, everything just breaks around here constantly. Okay. You can't get a single day without something breaking. This is getting a little bit irritating now. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, now I gotta get the cord to plug this in. Here it is. And now I'm going to turn on the hot water and just let the hot water run until it gets hot, which should only take a few seconds because the hot water heater is in the same room here. No, it's so dang cold out, it's taking a little bit longer, but now it's warm. And I'm also going to close this before this spills, as this is expensive, and if it spills, I will get very upset. It looks like the sewage pump is working pretty good for the moment. Hopefully that continues for the remainder of the project. So now we're going to shut it on. We're going to put it to pots and pans, and everyone's like, don't put it to pots and pans. And we're going to put on power scour, and don't put it to power scour. And we're going to off heat it dry because we just don't need that. I'll dry it manually. No point in burning through the electricity. And now we'll shut it on. And we'll have to run it twice because of the other guard, but that's fine. We can do that. I'm in no rush as usual. I like everything to progress so slowly and take forever. I got a little ahead of myself with the motor here. We need to turn the motor on and polish up that shaft before we slide the bearing off. So we'll just need to put this back in place. The wire is still in very good condition under there, which is somewhat surprising. This is actually a 3-speed switch. That's kind of funny. We'll switch it to on. Huh. Somehow the third position is blocked off, but there's labeling 1, 2, 3, and there's certainly a terminal there. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on and we're going to clean that shaft off so we can safely pull the bearing off without scoring it. Got a couple different pieces of sanding paper here that we'll use. And I'll have to go grab a ticker towel. This poor motor sounds horrid. I don't know what that is on the inside there. Almost looks like that might be some kind of plastic string or something. I'll get it off. I'm trying to do this as quick as I can because I can feel the bearings are just so dry, but you know, me and quick just doesn't happen. Finish with some finer grit. And that should be good. Alright, so before we disconnect all the motor, the windings and everything again, I'll go ahead and start taking this apart and make sure that it comes off with ease. And if need be, then we will we'll sand it some more. So we've got some bolts, 2 bolts that hold this together. rats. This became very difficult to turn at the end here. And even getting considerable resistance through the wrench. Wow, this one's really stiff. What the heck? Must be some corrosion on the end there. Looks like defective threads to me. Huh. That's no good. That's a cheap screw. Yeah, that's going to be fun to get back on. Let's see if this is interested in coming off. It looks like it might be kind of rusted shut. Okay, so it's coming apart, but what it's not doing is it's not separating from the back. Okay, that came off just fine. So we're done with the sanding paper. I'll put all this away. I'd like to get the back shell off as well so that we can varnish the windings. These actually are pretty good. Actually this is really good. I don't see anything loose or dodgy in here. This really doesn't even need, oh, there we go. That needs it. That's no good like that. But this is better than usual as I'm handling all this while it's plugged in. Brilliant. So this is getting caught on this thermal switch there. This has got kind of an interesting design to it. While this is turning, this is, you know, whatever little air it's going to move. This is going to draw air through the windings. It's kind of cool. So you can see that the front is clearly the source of the problem. The back is probably just fine, but the front has got some not good looking oil in there. And it's also lacking, I guess the thrust washer's on the bearing still. I would have expected more than that though. Alright, so we really need to get this shell to separate from the back. And this is kind of dodgy because one slip of the screwdriver wrecks the windings. You need a tremendous amount of force to do this, but you also need to pair that with utmost control. It's getting stuck. There it goes. Okay, good. I really like the way this motor is assembled. This is good here to keep everything tight. This is I'm surprised to see something that's this well built inside what was a very cheap economy grade fan at the time. So I'm going to label this. Actually, you don't have to because we know that the cord comes out the back, so that's fine. I guess what I should do now is we'll detach the switch from here. This way I can separate the windings completely. Number two, we're going to bend backwards. So I'm just going to bend it a little bit like this. 2 is bent, 3 is straight. Okay, put that over there. So now we can take this out of here completely. And it just makes it a little bit easier for me to move this around and work on it. Man, this is caked. Wow. Well, let's take this outside and blow it off with compressed air and get it all cleaned up. Now that we've got the bulk of the dust off of there, I'll give it a little more fine-tuning cleaning here. Get a little more of the individual bits of dust off. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and varnish this now. I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by the quality of this stator. A lot of these were very poorly wound and had a ton of loose bits and pieces, but this one's pretty decent. A light coating of varnish is all we need. And that's our thermal protection apparatus up there. I'm not sure if that's a resetting switch or not. We're going to go varnish it now. Before we do that, we need to install this highly specialized varnishing tool that will hold the stator while we do the varnishing. This way you don't varnish your hand or anything as well. I gotta remember to bring those air conditioners in off the lawn. I'll do that tonight. The motor tag blew off, so I'll bring that back in the house. And we're gonna use the spray off EL600 insulating varnish, which is clear. This is the industry standard product. And it's a good value too. This can last a long time. I have done quite a few fans with this. And we just need a very light coating this time, nothing heavy, because there's not much to correct on this. That's it. That'll do. Okay, let's go back into the studio now. With that dry while we work on the rest of the fans. Let's brush off any more remaining dust from these end bells. Ding! And then we'll wash these out with melamine foam in the cleaning area to get the shine back on the outside. These will clean up pretty nice. Okay, I think it's time to go over to the cleaning area. Pretty much all of what we can do dry has been done. Now we got to move to wet cleaning. Okay, here we are at the cleaning area. We'll get the drying towel out. I'll wash my hands first. I don't know how the heck this got like this. I don't know why that's so dirty. It sure wasn't like that last time I used it. So that's kind of ridiculous, but oh well. It's like that now. I have to wash the container of soap. That's that's kind of ironic. All right, I have I'm not sure if this is an official ShamWow or not, but I have something that's, if not that, very similar, which I put down here for clean stuff. This is made in Germany, so it might actually be a real ShamWow. I don't know. And I'm going to put on some of the gloves because my skin will crack from the moisture because it's still so dry from running the heat every day. Because despite being well into April now, a week or so in April, It is still absolutely freezing. Literally, it's like 22 degrees something tonight. Get that towel out of the way. These gloves out of the way. Let's wash this. I just used this over there. Let's clean this up. Make sure the stinking camera's still in a good frame, and it's not. That's why you always got to check. Sometimes the angle just turns to trash, even though nothing changed. See how smooth this goes up now? Much better. It used to get all blurry when I'm moving it around. Much, much better now. Just get a little bit of water coming out, more than that, and we'll clean this up. This way it's good to use for next time, otherwise next time we go to clean something it's going to be all covered in oil and not going to work good. Always take steps to set yourself up for success. Okay, good. That's clean now, ready for next time. We are set up for success. Okay, we're going to start with these end bells. Ding! I'm not going to get the bells again. We use a piece of melamine foam. You don't want to have a lot of water in it because you don't want water to get into the bearings or anything. And this is like a miracle product. It just completely restores the paint, restores the finish, right back to the original. It's unbelievable how well this works. Actually, it's still too much moisture on here. I was skeptical of this stuff for years, but man, I wish I started using this sooner. Now the paint on this is not perfect, but what's there is now going to have a nice clean shine to it. Not going to be too particular about the inside because it's really just a matter of cosmetics, but since it's in pretty good shape still, we'll get it as clean as we can within reason. That looks pretty good to me. And I try to make sure no pieces of this foam go down the drain because we don't have a macerator pump down here. Look at that, so little effort, just a couple wipes and it's just perfectly clean. It's such an amazing product. And it's affordable too, which is surprising. Usually the stuff that works good is not affordable. Alright, we're going to call that clean. I got a piece of melamine foam here. Just wipe this clean. And that's it for the endings. Okay. Now we've got the switch, which is pretty bad. See, I didn't clean this one up last time, and now look, it's all dirty, and now we're not set up for success. Not good. The brush will probably fare better on this than the melamine foam because there's a lot of little cracks and crevices that need to be cleaned that the melamine foam will not get to. No, this is going to be tough to get clean. Wow, this dirt is really stuck in here. You might have to try the melamine foam. Or maybe let this soak for a little while. We'll use a blade or something. Could do that. We could let it soak while we do the blades. Yeah, we're just going to let that soak for a little while. Okay, we'll do the blades now while we wait for that. Actually, we got one more piece we can do. That piece that holds the wires on. The blades. I don't think it was for an extended period of time, but this was definitely used in some kind of a harsh environment for a little while. It's got some of that, like, garage grime, not slime, but like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a kind of a greasy type dust on here, which is always on almost any fan that's used in a garage or auto shop or something like that. some nice dirty water there to represent our work. See if we can get this to come clean now. It's still very difficult to get clean. I might end up just throwing this in a dishwasher with the next round. It's getting there. I don't like to put stuff like this in there because I just don't know what it would do to the plastic. You know, the guard has no force on it. This has force on it when you're adjusting the speeds. Yeah, that's pretty good now. It's presentable. It was not presentable before. Okay, the blade is clean and you can see just how clean this actually is. It's so clean that the water is beating up on the surface. The melamine foam stuff is absolutely amazing. It's the only cleaning material I use on stuff like this anymore. There's just no reason to use anything else. There's nothing that works even half as good as it. Soaps don't work as good as it. It's just an amazing product in all respects in terms of cleaning performance. Alright, now I'll get the cabinet, which is always the least fun part to clean. I'm not going to do too much with the cabinet. You know, kind of leave that to Russ to take care of the paint and whatever cosmetics he wants to do with this. But I will just wipe down the surface of it with the melamine foam, and that might make a considerable difference. This isn't really dirt, this is just wear and scratching on the paint. Okay, so we're not really getting anywhere with this. There's dirt coming off, but it's not looking much better. And the sides might come out a little nicer, but that's fine. It really needs to be repainted if you're concerned about the cosmetics. It'll leave here mechanically sound, and that's the rest is up to Russ. Alright, that's it for the cabinet. I'm not going to do anything else with that. Not really any dust inside it. It's all rust that you see in there. Okay, so now we will go back over to the bench and we will service the motor, clean and re-lubricate the bearings, and then we'll reassemble the motor, and then it'll just be waiting on the guards to finish up, which might run into tomorrow because it's already 11:30, so we're not going to finish in a half an hour. Now we're going to clean the shaft. So we got to get all this old dried up oil off of there, so this has a shot of working again. And I think that is a thrust washer there, but it is so sticky and stuck to the shaft that I don't think we're going to try to get that off because it might just end up breaking it. Wow, this is really bad. No problem, we'll get it. So we're going to put this into the drill press to turn it. I got to get a piece of paper. I always like to protect the shaft from the chuck with a piece of paper. Get that out of the way. And we'll need to open this up all the way. Put that in there like that. This is super sticky. I'm surprised this ran at all. There is no lubrication anywhere left on this thing. Okay, so now we're going to use Simichrome polish. Here's the box for it. And the polish is where? Did it fall behind here? Oh man. Oh. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I don't know where the polish was. Anyways, here it is. This is the polish that we're going to use, the Simichrome polish. And this will get that shaft all cleaned up while the camera shakes. Stupid thing. This is going to take several attempts to get this to come clean. I don't know why the heck that's so wobbly. I try so hard to get it straight every time and it's always wobbly like that. And every now and again you just get it perfect and it's straight. No such luck today. No, that actually cleaned up a lot easier than I was expecting. We'll still keep going a couple more times. Much better. It's going to work a lot better now. And the bottom isn't that bad. We'll give it a couple hits too. Actually, it might be worse than it looked. There we go. There's that thrust washer. Get that cleaned up now. It's just stuck on there from all the stickiness. Man, this is actually pretty bad on the bottom too. I didn't realize it was that bad. No problem, we'll get it cleaned. Alright, I think we're good here with the cleaning. Yeah, it's coming out clean now. Okay, much better. So now this actually has a surface to glide on that's not sticky. Oh gosh, a lot of dust in the air over here. Ugh. Okay, anyways, let's get these thrust washers cleaned now. This one was so caked with sticky oil that it wouldn't even come off. And it is definitely quite dirty. Sometimes if these are really bad, I'll take them over to the sink and we'll wash them with the Dawn soap. But this is coming up clean enough that I don't think we have to do that. Okay, and definitely some wear on there, but it is clean and ready to work again. That's from the back. I'm just going to slip that right back in place. And there's one on the front here too, which is also very, very sticky and kind of stuck in place. There's actually two on the front here that are kind of stuck in place. Ugh. Very sticky mess we have here. A sticky mess. This is definitely part of why it's not working. These things are fairly delicate. They're just plastic, so you have to be kind of careful with how much force you exert on these things. They certainly have limitations. And this one is not coming very clean. These are so bad that they might need to get washed. They may have to get washed with the soap. It's amazing how this oil just like turns to tar over the years. Yeah, we're just gonna go wash these off because they're not coming clean. Why the heck is this all sticky now? Everything's all sticky over here. Man, this is really taking some effort to get this to come clean. I'm really surprised that this was running at all. This is very bad. Even struggling to come clean with all that soap on there. Alright, that's as good as that's going to get, within reason. Okay, now we got to do something about the small brush here. This is filthy. And the handle's all sticky too. Why is the handle all sticky? Sticky tar or something on here. Not ideal. Actually kind of gross. I don't like when things are sticky that shouldn't be. Unless this is trying to imitate tape or glue, which I don't know why it would be doing that. This should not be sticky. No, it's still kind of sticky, but it's better. Oh man, this water's so cold. It's important to get all the oil and stuff off of your hands before you reassemble the motor, because otherwise there will be cross-contamination taking place. And speaking of cross-contamination, I think it's about time to wash these towels. They're getting kind of dirty too. Okay, let's make sure these are dried off before they go back in place. Very important. An air quality alert has been issued. Okay, let's put this back on here before it spills. Create a slippery, polished mess everywhere. So now we'll clean out the bearings. You can see the rear bearing is pretty much clean. There's not much to do there. It's the front that really had a problem. All that gummed up oil in there. What a freak show. Probably won't even get much out of this rear bearing. It is important that the surface be clean because that's where the thrust washer will ride on. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, I'm going to call that rear bearing ready to go. And now comes the challenge of dealing with this front bearing. We're probably going to need to get some Issel Prisel for this because this is so bad. it's not just going to nicely wipe out, it's going to put up a fight. Actually, that's not accurate. It's wiping out without putting much of a fight. It might still be a benefit to finish up with a bit of Isoprisol though. Very good cleaner. I got some Isoprisol here. This is from Bottom Care Sec. Kind of a dodgy brand. Well, it looks like most of it did actually wipe out. And trying to get the inside of the bearing all cleaned up as well. That's cleaned up pretty good, actually. Much better than I was anticipating. No, you gotta get a break somewhere eventually. Yeah, we're all good there. Okay, so that's all been cleaned up. Bearings are clean, shaft is clean. I think we're ready to put this motor back together. Here's the final product. Looks pretty good. Very clean. Nice and shiny. All the wires should be stuck together properly. No reverberations going on. So before we reassemble this, last thing to do is tip that over and wreck what we just accomplished. And put some oil. It's not sticky anymore, it's completely dry. And we need to put some oil into the bearings. And yes, we're going to continue to use the yellowed zoom spout because I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It seems to be just as slippery as it always was. So we're going to fill up the area and whoa, no! What a freak show! You know, the old bottle of zoom spout never did this. The spout did not actually come out all the way. And when I got this new one, I was upset because the spout comes out all the way and occasionally causes a very slippery freak show like this. So now all over my nice clean motor shells is a slippery, lubricated mess. Oh man. That stinks. This was so clean too. Well, now it's dirty. Now it's a good thing I had this this bag here, because otherwise that would have made a mess on the carpet. It would be very difficult to clean up. Alright, well, what was supposed to happen... Oh man, that really stinks. This was so clean. What was supposed to happen was we were going to put some oil which is now everywhere. I hate when the bottle gets all slippery and everything gets slippery now. We're going to put some oil in between the bearing and the motor shell. This is where the Permawick advertisement comes into play. We'll get Permawick in the comments box saying, "Oh, we made that material." But the funny thing is that every time I comment back and I say, that's nice, you know, would you like to sponsor the channel and send some over here for me to reuse? There's never a response. So Permawick, if you're going to comment on this video, consider sponsoring me. Alright, that should be good. That's a good amount of lubrication in there now. That should give us a good long service interval. Alright, now I gotta go wash my hands because I'm covered in oil. Alright, let's reassemble this slippery motor. I can't believe that happened. Alright, so this is the back, as indicated by this riveted hole here. So we'll slip the wires through here. And then we'll seat the stator inside this portion of the motor shell. Okay. And now I'm going to add a little bit of oil to the inside of the bearing surface. We can be a little sloppy on the back because it's closed, so it's not going to go to waste, it's not going to leak through. Make sure there's oil everywhere in there. And we'll put some oil on here, and then around the thrust washers, etc. And then we'll slip this in place. And there's an air pocket in there. That's normal. It'll eventually go. And it's running much, much better now. It's gliding in there with very little friction. That's what you want. Okay, so now put a little bit of oil in the front of this. Put some in and around these previously sticky thrust washers, which are no longer sticky because they're clean now. Put a little bit on the shaft. Put some inside the bearing surface here. Okay. And now we need to make sure that the holes line up appropriately. So we're going to find the oil indicator is at like 2 o'clock in the back, so we'll put this one at around 2 o'clock as well, and we'll line up the holes for the screws accordingly. Sometimes it's beneficial just to slip one of them in there to make sure that it is in fact going to go through properly and straight. Looks like it. And make sure that's all good, and we'll close it back up. Okay. Now the motor is now closed. That puts an end to our sticky mess here. Or our, well, yeah, that does. It also puts an end to our slippery, oily mess. I can't believe this got covered in oil like that. So just for good measure, I like to drop a couple oil bits here in the port as well. And I can see this port is effective because I can see the wicking material right in front there. We could put a drop or two right into where the shaft is. Move that around. Now this happens to be spinning freely right now. If it's not, we're going to get to that in a minute. A lot of times it doesn't first shot. This is actually kind of rare that it's already lined up properly. Put some oil in the back here. Make sure this is good to go for a long time without any kind of problems. Okay, so if the shaft does not spin freely, and this is probably a good idea to do regardless, even if it does, these are self-aligning bearings. So once we put the screws in, we're going to have to realign this. So let's drop the screws in first. These are going to go through, it's hard to see where the bolts were. Looks like they're going to go through here. And they're going to go through here. And you can see where the bolt was. It took off the paint. Okay, so we'll put the bolts back on. That went on a lot easier than I was anticipating. I was anticipating some kind of a problem like we had when it came off. Put this back on. There's our problem. Now this wrench will be forever slippery because it's now covered in oil. All because Zoom Spout couldn't get the dang spout right. Okay, we'll just put a little bit of torque on here, not much. Now, if we find that this is stiff, which we're not finding, it's actually so perfect I'm not even going to touch it. But what you would do if it was not perfect is you would take a screwdriver and just smack the shaft a couple times in a few different directions, and that will loosen up the shaft because it aligns the bearings. These are self-aligning bearings, but this just so happened to be perfectly aligned right now, which is rare. That doesn't normally happen. All right, let's get this motor back into the frame. We're done with all this now. Put our slippery freak show away. Get the frame up on the bench and we'll put it back in place. Here's the frame, and it doesn't look great because of the paint loss, but you can see what it did to what paint is left. You can actually see a reflection of the motor in that paint. It's so clean. Alright, let's get this motor reinstalled. We'll put the wiring back in place first. Do as much work as we can while it's easy to manipulate the stuff, and then we'll slip it back in place. So we know that this will connect back to this. There's barely any wire there, but that's the way it was, and it's worked just fine for the last 50 years. So we're going to put it back to the way it was, and it'll probably keep working fine. And this piece that is bent goes on number 2. And this other piece goes to number 3. I'm so glad I've finally mastered the removal of wires from these switches. Not being able to do that was really annoying. Okay, so that's all back together now. That should be working properly. I think we'll go ahead and plug it in just to give it a quick test. Make sure that it blows up. Sounds a lot better now. Okay. That is one happy motor. Let's get it back into the frame, and then we'll have to wait for the guards to be finished. There's multiple sets of holes here, which is kind of interesting. This frame must have been used for various different models. So it looks like we had used these holes before. I think these are further apart. That's really strange. Does it even fit the other holes? No, it doesn't. Goes like that. For these really cheap, but not busted nuts back on here. Let's give those a little bit of an extra turn with the wrench. Not much, because there's not much to grab on there. It also looks like there's two holes where the cord could have gone out, so this cabinet must have been able to be used for multiple different models. And get the switch back in place. Okay, some telephone wires just fell off the wall there. It's kind of strange. And we'll get these wires tucked back in there. And where is that other piece? Gotta go grab that other piece from the cleaning area. Here's our cable management piece. And this, I can't quite figure out how this was supposed to go. I guess it just goes like that. It's very, very tight, but let's see how else it would be. And this, I think I'm going to put it up like that. I don't want to have it too tight. Geez, this has really sharp edges. I don't like this being up against the wiring at all. And you get the fan shaking because the blade's out of balance, and there's potential for that to eventually wear through the edges of the wires there. We'll secure this back in place. It's a very crude way of doing it, but this just bends back like that. Alright, this is just about completely reassembled now. There is a bit of a dent in the frame. It's a little bit better. Yeah, I really don't like the way that is, but that's how it was. Okay, now from the tightening of those bolts in the back, we've messed up the alignment on this. So we're now going to realign it. Perfect. Here's the switch, very yellowed, but it's clean enough. Stick that back on. Now let's do another test to make sure everything is working properly. Note how the motor is quiet and no longer sounds like there are bricks tumbling inside of it. This is the way it's supposed to be. And look at those bearings glide. That is in good condition now. Doesn't get much better than that. Alright, let's put the blades back on. Here's the blade. Still a little wet inside, but it doesn't matter, it'll dry out. Look at how clean that is. You can actually see the... I don't know what that is. It's got to be some part of the manufacturing process. It looks like someone almost took like a Dremel tool, and it feels that way too. It's not a smooth surface. I wonder what the heck is up with that. Was that somebody's attempt to balance it out? Is that part of the manufacturing process? That doesn't look like something that would come out of a mold. This is kind of how I would expect it to come out of the mold. Just kind of flat, and actually none of these look like they came out of the mold like that. This one looks all weird too. I don't know. The other side isn't like that. It's kind of smooth as you would expect. But very strange. Alright, so this, although there is a flat spot on the motor shaft, there is not one on the blade. You know, I have a feeling this is not supposed to be all chewed out like that. I'll have to check the one that I have and see if that is, see if it's like that or not. So we'll just put it on any which way because it doesn't seem to make a difference. Certainly a lot better than it was before. Not that that was a very high bar to clear, but it's working good now. Okay, let's put the clip back on and see if it flies across the room again. I probably have a better tool to use than that. This might work better to hold it. It's still going to be a little flaky, but getting nervous that it's going to fly off and smack me in the face or something stupid like that. Yep, there we go. It just flew off. There we go. Should be able to get it on there much easier like this. I can use downwards force to get it a little easier, maybe. There we go. Alright, so this is ready to go. Sans the guards. And you can see how cheap of a blade this is. Look at the clock. What a freak show. Totally going to be completely out of balance, but that's just the way these were. Bearings are in excellent condition. Does not get better than that unless you move the ball bearings. Okay, the first guard is clean, according to that DEL indicator anyways. Yeah, that is definitely clean. It's a little bit more warped than it was before, but that'll get fixed once it goes back on the fan. Did a really good job. That's our clean one, and here's the dirty one. Exposure on this is not correct. Here's the dirty one of the before, and here's the after. Big difference. And the best part about it is that it doesn't take a lot of time. Well, it does take a long time, but it doesn't take a lot of my time to sit there and try to scrub it up manually. So let's put the second one in here. Get some more TSP, get some more soap. It's worth a couple dollars in soap to not have to sit there and do it manually. It's a very tedious and unenjoyable task. And this machine, like many other things in this house, was picked up for free off the curb. Needed a new, I don't know, it needed one new part. I don't remember what it was now. It was not particularly expensive, and it's been working great ever since. I'll run the hot water for a minute again. It's very important to have hot water in the dishwasher for it to work properly. Okay, we've got the hot water. Put it to pots and pans, even though it's really pots and fans. We'll shut off the heated drive, we'll shut on power scour, and we'll shut on the whole machine. Alright, and we'll come back tomorrow, and it'll be all ready to reassemble. It's the next day. The guards have finished washing in the dishwasher. The fan frame is still working out its bends and dents, I guess. Here's the guards. They both cleaned up pretty good. A little bit of warpage took place, but that'll get fixed once the guards are screwed to the case. And I think that the warpage that occurs is negligible considering the amount of time saved compared to sitting here and scrubbing this manually. And this is a better result anyways. So let's see here. put this one on the front. And we don't have enough screws. It didn't come with enough screws. I might have some more screws that would work. I mean, we can really just use any kind of screws, but these are much larger than is necessary. I don't know why they opted to use such large screws. It's going to take a bit of convincing to get some of these in at first. And if the warpage bothers you, don't use the dishwasher then. Or get a big enough one where it fits. The warpage isn't necessarily from the heat, it's from the fact that the guards don't fit flat inside the machine, so they sit in there in a slant. I suspect if it wasn't doing that, we would not get warpage, because I don't have warpage issues when I wash smaller guards, like a Lasco 3733 guard will go through there just fine because it sits flat. It's also a different type of plastic perhaps, but I think that it's an issue of this not sitting flat inside the machine. But as you can see, once it's in place, the warpage will settle itself out. Still running very nicely today. Yeah, I don't see any difference between these front or back, top or bottom. So I guess the cord really does just blast out the bottom like that. I think that's kind of weird. But it is a cheap fan. There's got to be corners cut somewhere. The strain relief is on the motor post. And just like on the front, the majority of the warpage was taken out by the tension of the screws. Alright, this is complete and ready to go back to its fan collector owner. Let's give it a quick test run before it leaves the studio here. It sure looks a lot better than it did before. Much, much better. There's still some scraping and scratches on there. It's not perfect, but it's clean, it's functional, it's mechanically 100%. And really, if you put a new coat of paint on here, this would pretty much look like new. And I have the motor tag here. I'll give that back to the fan collector, and he can try to stick it back on or just put it somewhere else. Alright, so it should not sound like it has bricks in it anymore. It should sound nice. Just a lot of loud air noise is all we should get this time. We'll start up on, what is first? The low. It's still out of balance, something awful. It's like Lasco grade out of balance. But it's running good now otherwise. And that is at 117.9 the volts, it's taking 1.19 the amps and 92 the watts. The power factor is 65. Man, this blade is really badly out of balance. So I wonder those bearings haven't worn down over the years. Yeah, it's not as bad as I remembered my other one being. I guess the other one I haven't serviced yet. Maybe that's why it doesn't run good. And this is not necessarily powerful, but it's not worthless either. I imagine that guard is extremely restrictive. You know, I didn't realize this until a couple weeks ago, but I have a memory of a box fan in my grandparents' house. It was used in between the kitchen and the dining room, in the doorway. And I remember the unit shook something awful. It was so badly out of balance that it would actually move across the floor, and I think that's why it was put in the doorway, because it would be positioned up against the door frame so it wouldn't move away. And I remember the blades being very difficult to see, and I'm starting to think now that this is probably what that fan was. I bet it was one of these. Because the only other thing I can think of that has a dark colored blade that's hard to see would be an Edison, but the grill slats on those are so wide, the blades are very visible. So I bet this is what that fan was in the kitchen. I bet that was it. That memory is very faded. That's from the late 90s. It's a very faded memory, but I distinctly remember the shaking was so bad, and the blades were hard to see, and this is the closest thing I've come across since. The high. I don't remember what color that fan was. What color is mine? I don't even remember what color mine is. I probably can't even see the stupid color anyways. Let's see here. Where is it? That's not it. Okay, is that fan a figment of my imagination now? I know I have one. I can't find it now. How stupid is that? Oh, come on. I know I have one. Here it is. This one is wood grain, which I kind of think that that's what they had. I like that one better. Yeah, I bet that other one just needs to be cleaned or something, because this is loud, but it's not like egregious. I just remember the other one I had being egregious. It's not very powerful, I'll tell you that much. There's like a 223 would blow this out of the water. So I guess that's what bothered me about it. It's a lot of noise for not a whole lot of air. And the funny thing is that the Lasco 3733 from '99 was what replaced this, and that would have been a massive upgrade from this, because those blades were not as badly out of balance, and they moved a lot more air. I really think that that's what happened. This was just so badly out of balance. My grandfather just got tired of it moving around the floor, and he bought those 3733s to replace it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. On high, that's 2.29 the amps, which I think is a fair bit less than it was before. 180 the watts, power factor .66. So it's running pretty good now. The balance is, I mean, this is like, this is so badly out of balance, it's almost unusable. I mean, look at this. This is so badly out of balance. That's one of the worstly balanced box fans I've ever serviced. And you can, oh, you can't see because the stupid guard is. I mean, look how badly formed the hub is. It's going to be very difficult to correct this. Now, I might, when I bring this to Russ, maybe we'll try to balance it at his house. If this was going somewhere else that I didn't know it was going to, I wouldn't, in good conscience, have this leave the shop being this out of balance. But I know where it's going, and we can work on it in the future. Well, the bearings are certainly in good condition by some miracle. I don't know how those bearings are not worn out at this point after all that vibration. I highly doubt this was any more balanced when it was new. It's probably always been this bad. And people just use it, and it is what it is. So I guess some things never change. Well, this one's going back to its original fan collector. And it's in much better condition than it was before cosmetically. And it's mechanically sound now, aside from all that vibration.